Hey good people, this is Sharika, EB, and Sabrina. You're listening to The Kickback. Glad you decided to pull up.
What's good, Kickback family? It's your boy EB, and I'm here with two of my favorite people, Sharika and Sabrina. And the fact that you listen, it just lets us know that you really vibe with us, because you could have been doing anything else, wherever you're at, work. Hopefully you're at work. So, trying to kill two birds with one stone, getting paid on the clock, and you listening to people that you enjoy. But I'm not in HR, so that probably might not be the best advice. So I'll let Sharika tell you how to handle that.
Nope, don't come to me.
Maybe you're on your car ride and you vibing. Or
there
maybe
you go. There you go.
The comfort of your home, wherever you at. We just happy that you are listening. But I want you, for a quick moment, just think about somebody, well, two different people. Somebody who you love, who probably don't listen to the podcast. Just stop real quick, share it with them. And then that person who annoys you the most, but you got enough love for them, because that's what God tells us to do. You send this to them as well. I'm going to go start. I know last time I think I was on, I deferred it to the ladies, but I'm going to start off with my temp check. I would say I am about at an 85, and I'm at an 85 because y'all see, it's the summertime, and the summer is typically one of my favorite times, not only because of the weather that we have, but it's just, it's not as much traffic to and from work. Like, that commute is no longer congested because of school buses and parents trying to get their little ones to school, or those lovely high school kids who got whips, who don't know how to drive and they running late and they driving erratic, or even the grown folks who be driving that way, and the college people in this lovely town of Tampa who they just, everybody got a car. It just seemed like it's too many people on the road. I just want to remind y'all that Tampa has terrible, I'd say the Bay Area, Florida as a whole, has terrible restaurants, terrible people, wild stuff. This is not a place that you would want to move. Like, we have sheriffs who out here telling you that we're going to shoot people graveyard dead. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But now I do agree with what he was talking about when he said he's going to shoot them graveyard dead. In the best way. Y'all know, I done told y'all before, I don't necessarily condone murder, but in cases of, do I let a person or an individual kill kids, or do I think they call it stabilize the threat or eliminate the threat. I think I'm choosing the latter of those two. So yeah, I'm at an 85. I don't have a song for y'all. Hopefully y'all still vibing to Maverick City. And their album is now out, like June 17th. Like, you should have already been listening to their good stuff at this moment. Like, their album is out, their videos are out. This is the one that I was telling you about when they dive in with the prison inmates, or those who are incarcerated. Just check out that album, Maverick City album called Kingdom. So that's where I'm at right now. Sharika, Sabrina, how y'all feeling? Talk to the people.
First, I wanted to say, I'm glad that you were like, send this to the person you love, send this to the person that get on your nerves. Because now people are like, am I the person they love, or am I the person that gets on their nerves? They'll never know. And I like that. I am good. We're happy to have you back, EB. We missed you last week, so we're happy to have all the three of us back together. So I'm doing good. My temp, I'm gonna guess. I'm not gonna guess, but I want to say 75. Just because that feels like it's a good sweet spot. Another day of life. Grateful to God. Y'all know my spiel. So I'm good. I too am happy about the less traffic on the road. My commute is still very far from work, but it's a little better these days. So I am grateful for that. And my song is, now it's so funny. This song I've heard, I guess it's from old movies. And normally we don't record the podcast in the morning, but today we are. And so my song is called Good Morning. And I heard it on old movies. I didn't know what all the words are, but I'm just going to hit you with some of the words that I do find to be relevant today. It says, good morning, good morning. Some beings will soon smile through. Good morning to you, and to you, and you, and you. So good morning, friends.
I love it. Who sings that? Do we know?
It says Gene Kelly.
Oh, okay. So it's like sweet music. I am always, well, not always, just because it's summer finally, right? We're busting into that first weekend of summer. Me and Sharika will be still on our little ice cream truck hunt. And we started last week with the whole throwback series, and something about summer just feels very throwback to me. I know there's like new movies and new hits that come out, but I don't know, that summer just comes with like a certain nostalgia. So I think all of my temp check songs are going to be throwbacks for this summer. And this song right here, from the video to when he first starts saying, "Yo, New York in the house." I used to love this
Yes.
song. Fantasy by my girl MC. That just reminds me of summer. It's my vibe. She talks about like talking sweet, looking fine. I get kind of hectic inside. Yeah, this could be about my man 100%, but this is how I feel about summer. Baby, I'm so into you. I love summer. I love going to the pool. I love going to the beach. Summer growing up was like a time of like a whole bunch of travel. So at the beginning of the song, he's shouting out all these places: Atlanta, Georgia, West Coast, Japan. Everybody are in the house. I'm responding today. We're all here. We're all excited. We're in the house and we're ready for a sweet fantasy kind of summer.
That song does give me summer vibes. I don't know why. I don't know when it came out, but it does feel like summer.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go wrong with Mariah Carey.
You
I
really
love
can't.
90s to early 2000s Mariah Carey. Those were some good old days. I know everyone loves the music from their era, but I just be feeling like ours was kind of the best.
It was. No one can compare. Like, ours are still memorable. Even today's generation is jamming to like, "I'm in heaven with my boyfriend. It's like I'm dreaming, but I'm not sleeping." Like, they can relate to that. But these current songs, I'm like, I mean, they're really cool when you first hear them, but next week, are we remembering them? Like all the little pumps, little this, little that. What's like, I don't really know that I'm gonna even like, and I enjoy what is that name of that song? It's Little Nas X. Now, I'm not gonna hate on that one song with the horses because that one will stay with me forever. But he has this other song that was pretty popular. Not gonna lie, me and husband, we were jamming to it. I think it's called Montego. See, I don't even remember the name. Well,
Montero. I
Montero.
think I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Montero.
that
Montero.
song was a vibe in our house for like a good 2 weeks. And now I can't even tell you the beat or the lyrics. So
I can't either, girl. I don't know if I ever really knew it, but I remember hearing him talk about it because I think that's like his real name and maybe the name of the album or something. But yeah, I couldn't even tell you nothing about it beyond that. Well, summertime is the time, where normally, like Sabrina says, you're out and about, you're playing the neighborhood, you're either at camp, you're doing all the things. And I think like summertime is high peak friendship time. Like you meet people in the summer, you hang out with people in the summer, and you be like, we're gonna be best friends to the end. Like I feel like that's also a part of summer, is like lasting friendships or making friendships or solidifying friendships. Like I feel like summertime is the time for friendships. And so I know we get on the pod, we talk about ourselves. We have talked to you about, what I think this about myself, or this is what I want to do. But you know what? I thought today would be a great day to talk about friendship, our friendship specifically, and things, one of the things I love about people, we don't always share. So today we're going to talk about that. So these questions that we're going to be answering today won't be about ourselves. They're going to be about each other.
Ooh,
so
what a twist.
I know. We always talk about, but we're going to talk about each other. We're going to bless each other. We're going to lift each other up, maybe laugh. Who knows? Who knows whatever you get into when you get into things with us. But it's going to be a good time. So I'll start with this question. What is something you find most interesting about each other? So I'll start, and I'll give my friends, I'll give them a moment to think. One of the things that I find most interesting I'll start with EB. I don't think EB knows a stranger. And I find that very interesting. People will say I'm an extrovert. I am an extrovert, but then I'm not good with new people. I'm more reserved or uncomfortable or like laid, or I'll pull back a little bit with new people. I'd be having a trust thing. But EB don't know a stranger. He might see you for the first time and he can strike up a conversation and you will soon think that you and EB are best friends. EB does not know a stranger. And I find that to be very interesting.
Please don't think we're best friends.
Oh, no, EB, them people be thinking y'all are best friends.
I know what they be thinking, but I'm just giving them a verbal announcement that we are not. Yes, I love people, and I love people because God told me to, but I don't necessarily like people. And sometimes one of the things that helps me remember people and to have, I would say, legitimate, relationships. Some of them are intentional and some of them are unintentional. It's just hearing something about someone, typically positive attributes of that individual. And I can tell them about, oh, aren't you so-and-so's cousin? Aren't you so-and-so child? Aren't so-and-so's your relative? Or for some people who make certain individuals uncomfortable. And I typically don't do this to married folks because that's just not, it doesn't make sense, because usually when a person is married, they kind of forget their past dating life, right? It's no longer who I dated when I was in high school or early years of college. Like, I'm a grown adult and those days are extremely behind me. They helped me become the person I am today. But if it's like a person who is not married and didn't you and so-and-so used to rock? Because that's probably how I personally remember them. And then they would probably correct me, oh no, that wasn't really a thing, and XYZ. And then I'll learn something more. And sometimes people tend to, in those moments, depending on what angle you come at, people tend to share more than you even anticipated. So then it's like, EB, how do you know all this stuff? And it's like, they told me. They just started talking, or they told social media, and I was on there.
You be on there.
I definitely do. Always scroll, screenshot, share, save. That's the process. That's the routine. Sometimes I smile. It depends on what I'm looking at. Other times I smirk. I'm like, really, people? But yeah, so yeah, I do think I agree with you. I definitely think that I don't meet a stranger. But I won't say, they can feel how they want to feel. I'm not gonna tell somebody else how to feel, but we're not best friends. My people know who, my tribe know who my people are. I hope they know. If they don't know, that's where we at.
Them people, they love you, EB. They feel a strong connection. And maybe it's because you do take time to not say a general thing, but you do get specific with people, and that makes people feel seen. So they feel like, you know what, me, EB are tight. Maybe y'all aren't. That's between you and him. I'm just gonna say, them people feel like you're their best friends. And the thing that I find so interesting about Sabrina, you are fun, but you, it's like, I want to say, I don't know, I can't think of the analogy, but it's like okay, you're like an onion. That's what it is. Something you peel back. It was like something else. Girl, I don't know why I was thinking a bag of chips, what's inside. I don't know, but it's an onion. That's the word. There are so many layers to you, and I like that. It's very interesting to me. It's like people, there's the outer surface, and then you get deeper and deeper inside, and there's a tree on every layer. I'll just say that. There's a tree on every layer with Sabrina. So listen, some people, you'll see what you see them, and what you get is what you get. But with Sabrina, there's some layers there, and each layer is better than the next. I'll just say that. Get to know her.
Oh my gosh, friend. I feel like I'm about to be proposed to. Oh, golly.
That is
like
hilarious.
A hype up.
See, that's what it's
really
about. We're gonna hype each other up.
You gonna go, Sabrina, or you want me to?
You can go, V, sure.
Yeah, so I'll piggyback a little bit off of what Sharika just said about Sabrina, as far as peeling off, like an onion, peeling off layers to layers. I would say and depending on if you're not around her, you just might see her as the petite, bubbly individual, or depending on your interactions, might be she's always in a snappy mood, or a small little firecracker, who might be tiny in, I guess I don't want to say stature, but yeah, right, there we go. Tiny in stature. That's what I was thinking of. But then when she, and not explodes in a bad way, but when she reveals her inside, it's just a bubble of light that you probably would have never known. So that's definitely, I would say that's one of the similar things that's interesting to me. And not saying people who are small, big, medium, whatever size you want to compare yourself, you decide what size you are in the clothes that you wear, because sometimes your clothes will tell you what size you are too. Because you'll be like, I can't fit that. But just that light that illuminates from inside of her when she decides to share that with the world, with the masses. And I would say most people, if you've been around her enough, you would have experienced that at some time or another. But she's definitely an introverted extrovert. And that's what I find that's interesting, because I usually think that, I used to think that there wasn't a thing. It's either like you're either or. There is no like in between. And I try to tell people there is no great stuff in certain things, or there is no middle road. But I would say she's definitely introverted with, people who maybe she questioned. I'll say she definitely keeps her guards up. I guess I'll say that. And she might not think that, but that's what I see from the outside. I'm just like, it's just her connection with God lets her know when people or individual spirits are off. And I think that's probably part of the reason why she keeps her guards up. It's like, that's not the vibe, and I'm good. And we're not just finna fake friendships. We're not finna act like I'm everybody's best friend, because EB already told me that people ain't everybody's best friend. But that's who I see Sabrina as. With Sharika, something that I find probably most interesting is that I think we all, not just us three on this or listening, all have bad days, but she is an external optimistic that drives me insane at times. Stuff that are typically impossibly to get done from certain individuals. Like, it's some people, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm not gonna say the names, but it's people I have no faith, no hope in. And that's just where I am with certain individuals. But for whatever reasons, Sharika will find that glimmer of hope for individuals, and her optimistic personality is something that I find interesting, because if you are also friends with Sharika, she'll tell you stuff that's legitimately trash or just not it right then and there. Or when you try to, at least for me, when I joke with her about certain things, and I'm like, oh, you should think about X, and you should think about X. And I'm only really considering one thing, but we won't go into that because I don't want people hitting her up about crazy stuff. But, oh, EB said that to you too? Maybe you should really consider it, because my angle definitely be joking about her returning to certain things. I just want to say that'll be a conversation for us. Yeah, because I don't want people running up on my homie about nonsense, because it ain't it. And y'all don't even be talking to God, because if y'all did, y'all would know it ain't it either. But that's a different story for a different day. We'll talk about that on maybe another episode, as far as life and career and vocation and those type of things. But yeah, and then she just was like, nah, we good. So it's like, what an optimistic side at? And that's what I'd be finding most interesting, because it's like, it's certain things, like I would say probably a small shell of 2 or 3 things that optimism is nowhere in her sphere of, I guess, environment. But then just about everything else, or every human, or every event, every task, there's a glimmer of hope. Like, there is a possibility to get this done the right way. So yeah, that's definitely something that that's one of the things, I guess. And I know I ain't do too for Sabrina, but another thing is, y'all probably don't see it on the pod, but Sharika is one of the most argumentative people in the world. And y'all see her as the sweet, bubbly, lovely individual. And I would say she is all of those things, but she is one of the most argumentative people in the world. Like, there's not a week at the office, and I'm saying a week when we're both there all 5 days, where me and her do not getting some form of argument. And I would say more so a debate, but it will be an intense debate where people who don't know us will think that we are in a shouting match and that we hate each other. but that happens just about once a week. And that is something else that I find very, very interesting because the outside world will not know that. So as we hype people up, I can tell you if you get in, depending on the debate or the discussion, I can tell you that it's a good chance that you probably wouldn't win and that you will see a different side of Sharika in that moment. And that's something else that I find very interesting. So those are my two interesting things about my peoples, or two individuals.
That's hilarious. I will say in Sharika's, not even her defense, because I don't think being argumentative is a bad thing. I think it's great to have a position. Yeah, for sure. And be willing to defend it. It lets me know that you know yourself and you're just not accepting what the masses tell you or whatever else. Like, you believe in something and you're going to ride out for it. I will say though, EB, and this is not my interesting fact about him, but I'm just putting this out there. If there was ever somebody to poke a bear, and sometimes just for entertainment purpose, like I can see that other person, like their levels rising, and EB is on the same level he started with, super chill, but he's going to push you to that level if you let him. And having been in a space where I worked with both of them before, I've seen it with my own eyes. And I'm so entertained, and Evie's just chill, and the other person's just, getting hype. And it's not, Sharika's not always the other person, but Evie, own it. That's all I'm
saying. Definitely. And y'all know, for those of you who, because especially on Facebook, because I think Facebook, I think all three of my social medias, they're public. It's not, I don't be trying to hide nothing out here in these streets. But sometimes you might see, the old me, let me take it back. Old social media, you would see me posting controversial things. And I definitely sometimes do that with my peers, where it's just like, where do you stand on this specific issue? Or how do you feel? And then when I see that we are opposite in that moment, because sometimes I'm in agreement with them, but because of the way that I word certain things, it seems as if we're on opposite sides. Now, sometimes I do take the opposite side just to make sure, as Sabrina said, that you know your stuff. And for me, I'm always telling people, you stand 10 toes down on that. For all of us who have all 10 toes, for those of you who don't, please do not think that it is a reflection of me judging some form of a disability. For those of you who have 8 or 9, like if you got your nubs, that's between you and the Lord. And in that incident, those reflections or those words are not a reflection of the Kickback Incorporation. Those are EB's personally, and they do not reflect the imagery of Sabrina and or Sharika. So with that being said, I sometimes do it definitely intentionally because it brings me so much joy. And it's probably, not all the time, but it's probably because I'm having a hard day where I probably was about to snap on somebody. And I'm like, I need myself personally, loosen up, lighten up, enjoy life, just because I always tell people, like, you don't want to, in the best way, leave this earth on bad terms with people. Like if you and somebody else was beefing, I've seen it happen personally between two of my siblings, where two of my siblings, and I'll get a little personal, but two of my siblings didn't talk for a 7-month period before one of my other brothers passed away. And they, like, not even, hey, no bye, no what's up, no text, no birthdays, no Christmas, like didn't speak at all. And then when that brother passed away, the brother who was still alive seemed like it was the end of the world for him. And he was just like, dang, this is crazy. And it was like, yeah, but it was also your fault. Like that was your doing, because he tried to reach out and you wouldn't allow him be in your life. And so that's what happens sometimes. So yeah, sometimes I intentionally do it just to lighten up the mood for myself, not the other person. They might go to work and be pissed off, but again, that's between them and God. They ain't got nothing to do with me.
No, Evie, that's you sometimes. But anyway, go ahead, Sabrina.
So the most interesting thing I don't know if it's just interesting or something I really admire about Sharika is her genuine love for people. And most of us will say, oh, I love people, but having been around for my wise 34 years, no shade to you if this is you, but I feel like people a lot of times put value on people based on external things like how much money they have or how they talk or how they look, and then they treat them differently according to that. But I've seen Sharika treat everyone with the same warm, open love. I've seen her in situations with people she knows very well, or she's known. I've seen her with people she doesn't know, and various types of people. And every time she's just so consistent. And I like to say it's her and the Jesus in her. And I know a lot of pastors, and I don't see that from a lot of pastors or people in general. So Sharika, I think that's just very interesting about you. And I want to say shout out to your parents, because they raised you right. You really are just so non-judgmental and so open and welcoming to everyone. So that's what I feel is very interesting about Sharika. EB's the thing is similar because it has to do with people, but I feel like EB just has this ability to, okay, I'm trying to think about how to phrase this. Sharika was right in that I'm an onion. And I think maybe everybody is to a certain extent, but maybe some people are more open generally. I'm very much a situation dictates type of person. And I think my family, close friends, and husband are the only people that really know me. Other people, you might know me in a work situation or this situation or that. And then you'll all be like, oh, this is how she is. Oh, this is how she is. And it's not that I'm fake. I'm all those things, but situation dictates. But EB is one of those people who, even though I might seem guarded, I was able to just be very relaxed and open with EB, and it wasn't something that was unique to me. Whereas Sharika is just welcoming and loving of all people, EB is able to help all people like shed their layers very quickly. There's a comfort around EB, and he is able to maintain those relationships authentically. Like when he's hitting you up for your birthday, when you tell him something unique about yourself, or you don't even have to tell him. I will never forget being in North Carolina, and we were both in the same function, and EB just came and spoke into my life. And I was like, first of all, how does he even know about this situation? We only have had minor interactions with each other, but I felt like the Holy Spirit was speaking to me through him. And I just didn't, while normally I would have been like, okay, that's nice, just put on a happy face. But like, I was genuinely listening to him, and I was receiving what he had to say. And I know that that is true of everyone that he interacts with.
Thank God for that. I be trying.
It's a
I
gift.
be trying.
You got it.
Oh, praise God for that. So that's some of the interesting stuff. And those of you who are listening, we would love to know, what do you think that are interesting from either your perspectives of us on the podcast and or outside? So like when this episode drops, you can just send us a note on Facebook or on IG, and we would love to know y'all thoughts from that as well. That would be very, very, at least for me, that would be very, very interesting for me to hear out. I had a question for you guys, and I don't know, it might be part of what we just said, but do you think there's something lying there that people don't know about us? And if so, what? Or is that about the same? How do y'all like? Because that might be about the same. Okay.
No, it's. I mean, it could be a little different. Like there's things that we find interesting about each other that might be common knowledge, but then there's things about each other that people might like. Because we've been around each other, we know each other better, and then people that like are more on the fringe of our relationships may be like, oh, I had no idea this person was like that. So I think it's different.
So somebody, y'all want me to go first, or do you want?
Nope, I'm gonna go first because
okay.
it kind of EB kind of like tipped it off, but I was gonna say this is about EB, but this is also about me and EB. EB, I didn't think he was gonna talk about it, but yes, me and EB we will be arguing. We will argue this whole place down, and it's something that I don't think people would really realize or know about us. And I can be argumentative. My husband will say that. My husband says, and so you know what? But like you said, most people will not know that about me because I think it is a comfortable. Like I have to know that we're that close. That I have to know that you can handle it for me to go there with you. So for me, my husband, he's not going nowhere. He's gonna be here to the end. So I can do that with him. My brother, same thing. And I tell people, I just realized, I don't remember what it was that made me realize this. EB reminds me so much of my brother that I get into it with him because I'm almost projecting my brother onto him. And I feel like they needle you the same way. They are like, they be just so strong and wrong in my mind. And so I'd be like, I can't let this go. And so for some reason, there's something about it, but I also know that EB can handle it. Like, we're not getting crazy over here. We're not tearing each other down. We just be strong in our opinions. And I know that he can handle it. And he's not going to walk away being like, oh my gosh, I feel she hurt my feelings, or I feel a certain type of way. Like, he can handle it. I don't feel like everybody can handle it. So I don't even be doing that with everybody. or maybe I can't handle what other people got to say. So it's a very specific thing that I only do with very few people. But EB is one of those people that can rile me up, and he be getting me, and I be knowing that I'm being gotten at the time, but I'm just too far in that I can't even get out at this point. I be like, I know he's just playing me, and I can't even stop. I'm just gonna keep on going. So that is something about EB that people don't really know, and it's more so tied to. Now it ain't just me, as Sabrina said, he be getting other people too, but I be falling for it a lot of time, hook, line, and sinker, and I be knowing I'm going down, but I be like, I'm still fighting my way through this. But I like that about our relationship. And I had another friend that I was like that with, my friend James. Shout out to James, wherever you are. He was another one that I had all the time and the energy for. But yeah, so that's something that people don't know about EB. If you've only met EB or seen him, well, if you see him on social media, you should know. But like some of the people that be like, oh, EB's so great. He is so great. But also there's a mischievous side about EB too, that maybe some of you guys who don't know him that well, you don't know. But if you get to know him, it's just a little bit more, it's very obvious. And one of the things that I don't think people know about Sabrina, and these things are specific to me, what I'm talking about for both of them, Sabrina is a get it, well, you probably will know this, that if you know Sabrina, she's a get it done kind of girl. But for me specifically, I'm an ideas person. But Sabrina is the driving force that helps me get things done. She'll be like, all right, let's do it. Let's do this. All right, put a time. And I'm just like, oh, here we go. We're out here. Oh, this is so funny. Yesterday, I just casually mentioned something to Sabrina, and I will not bring this up on the podcast. I might tell AB secretly. But anyway, I brought up something. I was like, I always wanted to do this. Sabrina was like, I got a time and a place for you. Here, let's go. And I was like, I was shocked and shook. But Sabrina is the person that will push you to do the things you want to do. She will put a time and a place to all your ideas. So that is something I don't think people really know, because you might see her as more reserved. Like if in a group setting, if things are going on, she might not say a whole lot if it's not the close group of friends. She might just be like there with a beautiful smile on her face. But get into an intimate relationship with that, she will put some action behind your stuff, and be ready. That's all I got to say about that. So that is the thing that I think people don't really know about EB and Sabrina, but more so about our relationship towards each other.
So for me, those of you who know Sabrina, you definitely might know this, and it kind of ties into something else that we thought about asking about each other, but I'm gonna just put it in this one just because not everybody knows this about the others, at least you might not know it. Some of you might know it if you really know them, but it's something that I've always, I guess you could say, I wish I had type of thing. And I know God blesses everybody differently, but one of the things that you might not know about Sharika is her amazing voice. And it's not just singing, right? Because there's a lot of great singers, but the ability to not only use her voice, of course, to give God praise or to glorify God in those ways, but it's also the commanding in the room. Now, naturally, when some people get the microphone, they know how to do that extremely well, because it's like somebody has a microphone, so people naturally gravitate towards that person who is speaking or who is leading or talking, preaching, giving a speech, giving a presentation. It's like, oh, that's the person on the mic. You just always taught that when somebody else speaking, you kind of be quiet. But there's also some people who have a microphone every week. Like I'm talking every Sunday in some places, and they just can't command my attention. Like I get more from 2 or 3 songs that I sing, or just even at least for Sharika, you're talking most times probably 30 seconds to a minute of saying, why are we doing what we're doing? Like this is not just a group of people coming together to sing a song. but just her ability to, in the best way, lead. And that's something that most of you might not know, not just only her leadership capabilities, but also her commanding a room. She's not just, again, that quiet person who just sits in the back, who laughs at jokes, who is always optimistic, but she is a natural born leader. Sometimes she doesn't see herself as that, but I can tell you that she definitely is. For Sabrina, I would say, and I won't say she definitely not past this stage. She still got it in the tuck, but it can go from a myriad of things. From her dance, most of it is just movement and dance and her creativity, but it can go from hip hop, it can go from ballet, it can go to tapping, it can go from whatever lyrical, whatever type of dancing style that you know. And she might say, nah, I can do it because I can get choreographed, but that ain't really my bag, or that's not what I went to school for. But she is just extremely talented. And I wish I had that amount of patience, right? Because you just can't be out there thinking that, oh, I see that move one time and be good. But you have that patience of learning and also, of course, applying it, because it just doesn't do you good for watching someone else. You have to apply it for yourself. But the amount of mobility that she has and the skill that she has to not only dance, but also lead and see a vision. Like, you can literally tell her a few words of what you want out of something, and her level of creativity and imagination literally goes above and beyond. And I would say with both of them, whether it be Sabrina or Sharika, another thing that you might not know, it's really like you give either of them a task and just know that it'll be straight. Like, you don't got to worry about it. It's one of those things, like, just because they are both natural born leaders, where once somebody delegates something to some people, you got those micromanagers who are terrible. And I know there are certain people who you have to micromanage, but in those moments, if that's the case, that probably might not be the best person to give that task to. But these are individuals who you can delegate to them, and then the vision literally just goes to the next level without your input in the best way needed. Now, they might come back and ask for a little bit of guidance here or there, like, hey, we was thinking about doing this on vacation. We're thinking about doing this on a trip. We're thinking about doing this as a gathering or a vibe, or we're thinking about planning this or planning that. And then, they might do that. And that's because, again, their leadership capability to take initiative to make sure they're locked in on the same page with others who they are functioning with or working with. But their leadership capabilities, Sabrina's creativity and her mobility, are two things that you might not know, and something that I wish I had in me. So that's what I got.
Thank you for those kind words, EB. I'll start with Sharika and say that most people probably won't know that Sharika is very spicy. I'm not going to put all her business out there, but you know how in the old days, like, if a woman showed her ankles, people were like, I feel like Sharika, she's low-key an ankle showing woman. She has the time, she has the energy, respectfully, she's not out here doing anything crazy and not committing to her marriage vows, but she's definitely a good time girl. She has all the ideas, and she might appear to be like, I don't know if I'm going to follow through, but I think she's brave, because you might have fear in doing something, but when you actually do it, like, that's courage, right? That's bravery. So I like that, the spice and confidence that friend has, and I wish her the best. And I hope she follows through on the thing that we talked about yesterday. Because I love that for you, friend. And I love how it just reminds everyone, our listeners and me, like, Christians can have certain reputations, unfortunately, not always the best, but we are human, and God created us in the fullness of all the pleasures of the world, all the joy. We experience every emotion, and it's okay to be a spicy Christian. So I love that about you, Sharika. You're loving people and loving your good times. So that's something interesting that I don't think everyone would guess about you. And EB, like, there's so many things I want to say. At first I was like, do people know, like, he's a sneakerhead? But they probably do. I had to pick up on that after getting to know you more, because I just never noticed people's shoes. I thought about, do people know, like, the time, the effort, and the energy he puts into making sure his wife knows how he feels about her, through the way he plans these vacations, through just being like, oh, I'm just going to drop flowers off. Like, for the most part, we see this sort of thing in movies and TV shows, and guys are like, yeah, that's not reality, da, da, da. And I'm like, but it is. I see my friend EB doing that with his wife. And, it just takes a little time and effort, but for him, it is effortless. So love that. But I think people would know that about him too. So I'm going to go into the family sector. Yes, he's there for anybody who needs him, but I especially admire and don't know how much people know how much he is there for his family. And it's easy. I'll just talk about myself, for instance. I have 3 siblings that I grew up with, that I rock with. It's not very hard for me to be there for them. There's only 3 of them. Evie has like a million siblings and so many nieces and nephews. And you've heard him on the podcast occasionally being like, oh, you know, this niece or nephew gets an A, I'll do this, da, da, da. But they're not just words. Like Evie is a follow through type of person. And I just really love how he's there for his family. I've seen him show up in incredible ways, drive however far, get on the phone, show up in schools or whatever else. And I love that about you. And I want the people to know you're just there for your tribe kind of person.
Thank you for those words. I appreciate that.
Is the 100% true. Last question for today. And EB kind of alluded to it, but I know he's creative, so he'll find a way to spin this. My last question today for each other, and I'll go first, is if you could have one trait of the other person, what would it be?
Ooh.
So from EB, wow, there is so much about all of each other. I mean, that's when you know people, you see so many different things about each other, you learn so much, and like we're all, like Sabrina said, we're all onion, but like there's so many great things about these 2 people, hence why I decided I would love to do a podcast with them. But one of the things that if I could have a trait of EB's, it would be to not have a problem speaking truth to power. Like EB will say all kinds of things to all kinds of people. And I'm a little bit more, and the thing is, he's not, like I was going to say I'm more thoughtful about things, but no, EB is very intentional and he's very thoughtful about what he's saying, how he's saying it, and who he's saying it to. But he also, he will push boundaries, and not in a bad way, but in a way that's necessary, in a way that most people don't feel comfortable doing with certain people, because people feel like, oh, someone's revered, or they're this, or they're that, or they have this position. EB don't care. He be ready, and he has the thing to say. He has the energy for it. And he's also has already, I wasn't going to say commanded the respect or to do it, but he has crafted the relationship to be able to do that with people that I admire. And I love to see it. And I wish that I was more like that. I mean, I have my ways, but like from some people, you'll have to push me in a negative way. And then I'm saying stuff that I probably shouldn't have been saying, but he has just the courage and the conviction to push issues and boundaries, and not in a negative way. What I'm saying is all positive with people, especially people of power, that I love to see and I wish that I had. And something about Sabrina that I wish was a trait of mine. I think I've said it on the podcast, like I'm not great with words that much, but Sabrina, she be having the words, and I love it. I wish I was more like there's some people that just like I want to say have a comeback, but it's not even that. It's like they're ready for the occasion and the words are there to follow. And I love that about her. She has a strong voice and a strong conviction. As I guess the similar thing about like Evie, but she is she's ready for it. And I'd be wishing I was, because I'd be like, dang, I was caught slipping. I don't remember. I should have said this. I should have said that. No, she be having the words at the right time, and she be ready, and I don't be. And also the other thing is like Evie did talk about like her mobility and like her movement. Oh man, there's so many things, that part, but also she says that I'm optimistic, and I see, but the way that Sabrina sees things in people, especially kids, and be like, one of the things that I'll always remember about Sabrina and always say to myself you can do hard things well. And she believes that, and she instills that in the people she's around, that you can do hard things well. And I love that about her. And I wish that that was always the mantra that I had in my mind, but it is something I'm working on. I'll just stop there because I'll be here for all day with both of them. But that's those some of the things that I wish that some of the ways that I wish I was that they are.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you again for that. And part of it for me is really just thinking of, I think Sabrina mentioned it earlier, as far as God creating all of us to enjoy, in a sense, his fullness. So as of right now, and not saying, please, those who listen, don't think it's any disrespect to any other people. If you do, please, please, please do me one favor. Take that up with God, because that's between you and God, and not between me and you and God. That's between you and God. Handle that way. But for me, outside of, and I don't even necessarily say a fear, but outside of God, like there is really not too many, that's not something or people that I fear. Growing up, there was certain cousins that I feared. That was only because of stuff that I've heard they've done. And that ranges from robbing like really bad people in our town and killing of law enforcement officers. And that's not something that I'm proud of, but I know one of my cousins who did that. And the fact that he got away, I say got away with that, it's like one statute of limitations are up, but he went to court, he went to trial, he beat the case, but everybody in the hood, no, it was him. Like that's, which is still shocking to me. But you know, back then they couldn't find no evidence and he found a way to finesse it. And hey, I'm not saying his name for reasons that low-key, I still be scared of him. And I love him though. He was actually at the wedding. Some of y'all probably saw him. But for me, when it comes to power, it's always like, what can you personally do to me? Like I feel like I truly have God hand over me. So within your realm of authority or power, you might be able to make a decision here or there, but like God still got me, and God will always have me, because I don't see myself walking into the darkness away from his light, because who he is and what he has already done for me. I would say a trait that for Sabrina, and I don't even know how to word it, because I don't want it to come off. I would say her level of excellence in perfectionism. I guess that's what I say. And it's not even perfection to the detriment of other people, but it's like, hey, if we're going to do something, let's go all out, because most times, and not just essentially for God, but that's definitely, that reason alone should be the end of it, but it's giving people a fullness of an experience for everything that you get to do. So if you get an opportunity, just whatever you love to do, right, whether it's, and not necessarily on your hobby or your vacation, but when you're doing something for the sake of other people, if you can't do it to the best of your ability, either pass that to somebody else or tell that person that you can't do it. Like basically don't half-a it, don't sugarcoat it, don't tiptoe the line, like be all in or be all out. And that's part of that, I think, peeling back that layer of who she is, of just like, if we're going to be all in, or if I'm going to show you a part of me, then I need you to do the same. But we're not playing this game where you're prying into my life, where you want to act like you care, but it's not really that you care. You're really just wanting to just go gossip somewhere else. But it's just that level of excellence and that perfectionism is a trait that I admire, because it's some stuff, definitely I take it to the next level. If I'm given an opportunity to present something, to preach, my interactions with people, I try my best to be intentional. So I definitely understand it. But then there's other times where physically I just can't, or mentally I am drained and I'm done, and I'm like, you're just gonna get what you're gonna get, and we're gonna rock with that, and that's gonna be it. But Sabrina, she always finds a way to take it to the next level, even, and she still does, but even when she's just like, and I'm saying more so when we were working directly together in the same building, her energy and effort into the lives of people we had the opportunity to minister to together, and she still ministers to a lot of those teens and young adults in the same way of letting them know that she's always there for them. Anything I can help you with, I always got you. But it's even rising them up. So it wasn't just simply about her being at a level of excellence and perfectionism, but it was instilling that in many of, I would say, her students and people who she's mentored and led along the way, of saying like, no, you have to be better than that, because I know you're better than that. And just pulling out the best, I would say, pulling out the best in people. And sometimes people don't see it in themselves. And I never understood it growing up, when I used to have teachers who say, you're acting like this, but you don't see what I see in you. And I'm like, bro, I know myself. Like, you don't know me. Like, you don't tell me, like, let me joke around. I just told you I got an A, so I can laugh and joke all I want. Like, it's nothing. But teachers at times saw individuals as leaders, and they say, no, like, stop that, because people follow your lead in every little thing you do, and that's distracting from the learning process of others. And I would say, and we kind of said it earlier, but just for Sharika, just that extroversion, introversion, and that openness to experience new things. Like, it ain't too many things where she's just like, no, I would never do that. And it might be some like that we haven't talked about, like maybe swimming with sharks or jumping out of a plane or getting in the lion's cage, like crazy stuff like that. I'm not talking about that, but openness to experience certain things where it's just like, yes, I think this will be fun, or like making memories with other people, especially with family and or friends. Like, I want to say all three of us, and I say three of us as far as being like, we love our family and we make it happen and we try to be there as much as possible. But like when Sharika talks about spending time with family, whether it be back home, back home on the islands or back home on the eastern shore, I think that's what they call it. I don't know. Okay, I was just gonna say in the DMV area, but on the eastern shore, like you just see that openness to make memories with family. And I would say definitely I have that, but it's not necessarily an openness. Part of mine is more so a necessity, because most of my family don't care. Like, I got a brother who I've not seen since I want to say last time I seen my brother Lubo was my mother's funeral in 2013. And he stays in Pennsylvania, and y'all know, like, we talk about traveling all the time. But when he comes home, I'm either out of town or I can't make it to Winter Haven. And I say I can't make it. I choose not to, because he kind of how I am when I go certain places, when he's in and out. Like I heard he was here literally 2-3 months ago, like back in, I don't know when y'all listen to this, because sometimes some of y'all be like, oh, I have to binge your podcast. So I'm just saying it like this. He came in like February of 2022. He came in on like a Thursday and left on a Saturday, but I didn't know he was in town until Friday. But I was at an event where I was like at a function where I couldn't just go to Winter Haven to see him. And so I don't be all the way all in. And there's been times where I've been in the DMV area where I can just drive to see him, but I don't. But like for Sharika, she makes it her duty to make sure she spends time with family, especially when she's in that vicinity where she'll be like, hey, you know what? Like, we're going to see my side of the family, and Alan, we're going to see your side of the family. And not only the ones in this DMV area, we're going to drive up to New York and spend some days with them as well. But like, I've been a lot of places where I have relatives, and I'm not doing that. Like, Judith will be like, hey, we should go see. No, like, we on vacation. Like, they didn't come see us when they came. And so that openness to experience and to make lasting memories with family is a trait that I truly appreciate. And I know I talked earlier about, like, you know, having that lasting impact or having memories with family is important. So that's something, again, I appreciate, something I need to try to lock in on. So yeah, that's what I got.
EB, I really wish I could keep in touch more frequently with people I love in the way you do. And I know you just talked about like your brother and how you wish you had, you know, locked in maybe a little better with visiting him because you haven't seen him in so long. But when you talk about the way that, oh, I just talked to so-and-so this day, or somebody that we all love on this podcast is a woman named Jan. She's phenomenal. And and I can genuinely say, like, I have love for Jan and I think she's incredible. And anytime I'm with her and she's opened her home to us, we have the best conversations. But ask me when the last time I've talked to Jan. I just don't think to like really reach out. And during the pandemic, I said something about Jan, and Evie was like, oh, I FaceTime with her the other day or Skyped or whatever with her. And I was like, that is a great idea. How come I haven't done that? And then I feel kind of bad because I'm like, my people know that I love them. And with a lot of people, Jan included, when I do talk to them, it's like no time has passed. But I just wish I was better at being more frequent with it. And Evie has, you know, his tribe is tight, but he has so many people that he does this with. And I'm just like, how do you do it? And it's not forced. It's so genuine. You're just there on your mind and your heart. And you're like, life is short and I'm going to invest in these relationships. And I love that about you. I wish I was better, and just, I wish I did that more. So Evie, kudos to you for that. And Sharika, she is, I mean, I know she talked about like, oh, Sabrina's in the details. And I admit that is something that I am probably better at than others. But Sharika's like the big idea person. And I can be that way. Once again, situation dictates. But I am not the person who's going to be like, oh, you know what? We should start a podcast and let's do it. You know, Sharika said that, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll edit it. And then years later, I was like, it's too much work. We all need to edit it. But she came up with that. She'll be like, oh, we need to do this trip or we need to do that. Like Sharika is somebody who's looking at life and sees all these opportunities that life has to offer, and she's ready to like grab at it and capitalize on it. And I'm more like, this is what life is, and I'm enjoying it how it is. And if something comes at me, sure, I'm going with the flow. But Sharika is creating the flow in a lot of situations, and I wish my mom was like that.
Oh, thank you, friends. This was a good time. It's so funny as I thought about planning this. I was like, oh, we need to talk about each other and lift each other up. And then so I'm thinking about all the things I want to say about Evie and Sabrina. And then I forgot that they would have to say stuff about me. And then I got very uncomfortable as we started. I was like, oh, they're going to be talking about me. And I got very uncomfortable. But you know what? It's good to hear good things about yourself. And it's good to say good things about others. Life is short, and give people their flowers while they can enjoy them. So my recommend, I know we're not there yet, but this is a preemptive recommend, and this is not my real recommend, but enjoy your friends, your families, your loved one, someone that's mentored you, someone that's done something for you. Give them their flowers while they can enjoy them.
Amen.
Sabrina's next.
In the same vein, I actually have two quotes today. The first is from Ian Reed. He says, I think a lot of what we learn about others isn't what they tell us, is what we observe. People can tell us anything they want. And the second is an anonymous quote, but it just falls right in line into what we're talking about today. Knowing a person is like music. What attracts us to them is their melody. And as we get to know who they are, we learn their lyrics. So just piggybacking off of what Sharika just said, enjoy your people, right? Like learn their lyrics. We don't know how long we have with one another. Life is short. And not even thinking about the morbid part of it, like it's such a blessing, the people that God has allowed us to interact with in our lives, and we can learn from everyone, we can grow, and our lives are enriched. Like I think about my friend Tracy, or like just my relationship with my parents. Like my life is enriched because of who these other people are. So go ahead and dive into those relationships, be an EB, invest in them. And then on the other side of that, learn your people, and don't necessarily always listen to what a person tells you about themselves, but observe, right? Because I might say to someone, oh, I don't, and I say this, and Evie calls me all the time. I'll say something like, I'm not really a people person. I'm socially awkward. And Evie's like, yes, you are. It's just, it has to be the right people. And that's very true. I'm saying one thing, but from his observation, he learned Sabrina is very willing to peel those onions back. But situation dictates, or it has to be this space, or like, and I don't want to say like people have to earn that respect for me, because that's not always true. It's just a level of comfortability, right? So yeah, listen to your people, but also observe things that they aren't telling you and follow suit. EB, we miss you. Expounding yesterday, we joked about the things last week, the things you may expound on. We said it might be the white supremacists who tried to break up the Pride Parade in Idaho. You might talk about Trump's 12-page manifesto, pretty much saying it wasn't me on his Shaggy with January 6th. But, it doesn't have to be either of those things. We're just excited to hear from you. What are you expounding on today?
So earlier you just said something, invest in your people or know your people. And then you said situations dictate. And those are two things that I'm rolling with. I'm definitely rolling with situations dictate in today's expound, and definitely rolling with knowing your people, because for them to say that I would be talking about the white nationalists, like they wouldn't know that if they didn't know me. Because I have a story for you guys. I know as a world, a lot of us are very frustrated with people by the name of Karens. And I know most times it's not even the actual name of the person, but I want to share some enlightening, entertaining, engaging news with you guys today and tell you that I got a friend named Karen, and I never even met her. Karen Amsden is my new homie. Y'all probably like, who is Karen Amsden? Why is she your homie? Why do you even have a friend named Karen? How do you even have a friend that you don't even know? My intentions is to try to find her on social media and send her a note of literally just, thank you. I am just a young Haitian from Florida, and I just want to know that I want you to know that I appreciate you. Now, how does situation dictate involved in this? Patriot Front member Jared Boyce kicked out by mom after Idaho arrest. Some of you probably be living under a rock when you don't be caring about what CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, local news channels got going on. So you probably missed it. But one of 31 of the Patriot Front members arrested at an Idaho Pride march over the weekend was kicked out of his mother's home for refusing, say it one more time, refusing to denounce the white nationalist group, right? Karen Emsden told the Daily Beast and the New York Post that she gave her 27-year-old son. Now, I ain't gonna shame a boy, because if I was not married, I probably would be back at the crib with these rent prices and these houses of mortgage and mortgage prices and all of that good stuff. So I'm not blaming his age for still being at the crib with mom. That is probably a good thing, and hopefully he was saving and all of that good stuff. But she gave her 27-year-old son, Jared Michael Boyce, an ultimatum after he showed up on her doorstep in Springville, Utah on Sunday after being bailed out of jail by an anonymous donor. I don't know who that anonymous donor is, and I'm not going to tell you to not bail people out. But there are some of us who are out here struggling with student loans. And if you really want to bless people who will not do crazy things in this country that we say we love, please give me a call. Somebody share, find out who that anonymous donor is, because I know somebody knows somewhere. I know somebody willing to snitch. And the mom told him, you can choose between Patriot Front or your family. And to her dismay and displeasure in that moment, he responded, well, I can't quit Patriot Front, Mom. I'm like, well, Mom said, then I guess you've chosen the choice. I need you to pack your stuff and get out of my house. And then, of course, he left, and then he went to venting on social media of my family doesn't love me. And then one of the fellow Patriot Front members took him in, or something along those lines. But my frustrations with these type of things is that some of these people also profess that they are believers. And I don't know what Bible they read or where they go to church at. But the God that I serve, and the God that I appreciate, and the God that I love, and the God that loves me tell me to love God, love others. And he even takes it another step further, just in case people are trying to figure out who is others or who is my neighbors. He tells you to love your enemies. And some of these people, they don't love them. Like projecting violence on people, projecting words of hate, of frustration or anger. Like, can you be in disagreement about something that somebody else is doing? Absolutely. But there's also ways to do that, especially if you're 27 years old, or if you're with a group of 30 other people. Like, be an adult, have a conversation, get to know that person's story. As Sabrina said earlier, know your people, and your people, whether you want it to be or not, it's the people who are in this world. Y'all better go read up on the story of the Good Samaritan. Like, it's more than just the one who stayed to the right or to the left of you, or the one that's in your favorite group chat. But see, we ain't gonna have no Bible study tonight. We ain't gonna have no sermon. I ain't gonna preach to you. I just want you to think about that for a brief moment. Something else I'm not going to expound on, but I'm gonna just throw it out there. And actually, I ain't gonna even lie to you. I hope it happens as we continue to think about 2024, because it's right around the corner. I know you like, what, right around the corner? You'd be wearing the summer of 2022. How is it right around the corner? Well, y'all know later on this year, early next year is when you start hearing more and more and more about who will our next president be, or if it will be the same current president that we have right now. But Elon Musk, since he's pulled out of Twitter, I don't think that have changed yet. He say he is rolling the dice, and he putting his mouth and his money behind Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He said that is who he believes can be the best president for us, and that is who he believes should win the 2024 election. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, I don't necessarily want Ron DeSantis to win, but I definitely don't want him to be my governor. So if that means by way of him leaving his governorship to go elsewhere, I might take that. Not saying that I want him again, not endorsing him. It's not an endorsement for myself and or the kickback, but I do think we need a new face in Florida, because the way he is, I just can't rock with it. And we need a new person. And I am tired of him. And for those of you who love him, I would love to have a conversation on why. And we can definitely have that whenever you are free and or available. It's not hard to get in touch with me. So yeah, that's what I got for the people. Anybody else? What are y'all recommending for the people as we get ready to close out? Or do y'all have anything to chime in on any of those expounding thoughts?
I am really, well, I'm lying. I'm not that stressed and pressed about the DeSantis thing. I'm just like, Biden, I really needed Trump to be gone. But now I'm like, I don't know if Biden can beat DeSantis. Just because people are blaming him for things that aren't necessarily his fault, like the gas prices and this and that. And I'm like, dang, Biden. I don't know. But if it's DeSantis, I would rather DeSantis over Trump. So.
I don't want.
And the whole Karen thing, oh my gosh, Evie, I was just trying not to be rude and laugh during the portion. That's wild. I don't know. Sharika, it sounds like you wanted to expound on
like, I didn't want DeSantis here. I don't want him.
No.
I mean, is there better options?
It hasn't been all bad, but it's just like,
exactly. I'm just like, he's boring.
I honestly think I'm going to, but you guys know I'm not on social media like that anyway, but I think I might have to just hop off during the next election season because
I'm not ready for that.
Our girls gotta live. I'll still be on Snap to my family. Shout out to my family who doesn't listen to the pod, but I'll still be able to be with them, but I don't know if I can do another one of those.
I do have an announcement for the people of the pod before we get into our recommends and close out. Guys, y'all are on summer break, and so will we. We will be on summer break. So we will not have a new episode the month of July, but we will be back fresh in August. And this is, we're giving our word. I know last summer, that was against they come back. We coming back in August. We will be back. So I do want y'all to know that there will be no new episodes in July, but July is the month to catch up on old episodes that you missed a few here and there. You haven't been able to catch up. July is the month to catch up. July is the month, like Evie says, to share the podcast with friends and help them to catch up. So when we back in August, that was a weird way to say August, but anyway, when we back in August, you will be ready to go with all the new and excited things that we do have coming up. And we do have some new and exciting things coming up in August. So as this is our last episode for June, I just wanted to let you guys know no new episodes July. We'll be back fresh in August.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
In the theme of our last episode where we talked about throwback TV shows, I'm also going to recommend only throwback TV shows for the remainder of our summer podcast. Well, I guess August is still summer, so for the remainder of June. So my recommends this week is the Bernie Mac Show. You guys, I could watch this over and over and over. I love a good laugh. And I feel like summer is the time to be joyful, to be laughing. It's not time for the heavy dramas and all that. We save that for the fall. This is a show about Bernie and his wife reluctantly stepping into the role of parents when Bernie's sister drops off her 3 kids. So it's just like his views on child rearing and his interaction with his wife and his friends. And it's just hilarious. And although each person of color's situation is unique in the way we were raised, there are also so many little similarities. And so I love like the similarities with his family that I saw with my family, even though we did not grow up rich like those kids do with Bernie. But I love that show. So if you want something to throw back and just enjoy and laugh, check out the Bernie Mac Show.
That is so funny that you said that, Sabrina, because girl, I was going to give a throwback show in honor of our last episode as well.
All righty. What is it? Let's hear it.
It is A Different World. I have been watching A Different World. I've seen it. I don't know if I've seen every single episode, but I feel like I've seen pretty much all episodes, if not all. But I've started from episode 1, and it's on HBO Max. If you're looking for where can you watch it, it's on HBO Max if you got the hookup, or if you know somebody that do, like Evie said, shout out to reach out to one of your friends if they cool with you like that. Shout out to my friends I'm on their HBO Max. But anyway, yeah, I've been watching A Different World. So, and it's great. And I love it. So that's what my recommend is going to be to you guys. A Different World.
Yeah, so mine's is a little different. It is not a throwback, but it is on Netflix. And in honor of break, and I would have waited later on, but y'all know sometimes Netflix be pulling stuff, especially when the drama start happening and they sometimes can't handle the smoke. Now, granted, they don't do that for everybody because they definitely let my boy Dave Chappelle ride out with whatever he does and says. But some people, they'll pull stuff after certain things happen. And some, I would say rightfully so. In other part, it's like, stop limiting the artist from being the artist. Like some of the stuff that the artist may have done during that time of their life might not translate to the time that what is happening now, or what happened in the past might not be something that's current. Like, give people, in a sense, if you know your people, you know that it should be helpful to know that there is a great possibility of people evolving and or growing. But there is a Netflix out right now, and I love her as I don't say I love her as an individual because I don't know her like that. But as far as what she means to the culture and what she means to, especially, I would say, the Hispanic or the Spanish community around the world. But it's called Halftime, and it is, of course, the lovely Jennifer Lopez, or J-Lo. Like, I don't rock with all the people she's been engaged with and dated, and I don't rock with all that stuff. But again, that's between her, God, and those people who she kicked it with. But the part that really shocked me is how, a little part of it, I don't want to give it all, but as she talks about, when she reflects on her career of film and music, and I guess movie and film and all of those stuff, and just that much, the amount of pressure that was on her at that time, she thought was insurmountable to be able to be successful. But in the same vein, she talks about her most recent Halftime show not too long ago, where she was like, I probably should have did that solo, and I probably shouldn't have had Shakira with me. And it's just funny that those things come out. And I don't know what type of beef they have, but I'm just like, interesting. Now, I don't know if it's for it might be for the ratings, it might be for the money, I don't know. But if you want to try to watch something on Netflix, and if you're a music buff or a music head, or you just like J-Lo, that's something for you to watch. And the rating on it is TVMA, which is for a mature audience. So if you feel like you're immature, or if you got the kids in the room, it might not be for them unless your kids are mature, because the stuff that you don't want to talk about in your house, sometimes parents, I can assure you that your kids are hearing it at school. Probably not right now because it's summer break, unless your kid had a few challenges and they were being, I don't know, mischievous in one way or two, and they got summer school, then that's a different story. But I do charge for tutoring. But if your child needs some help, mainly in the main, I would say, courses of writing or English or literature, depending on what y'all call it, social studies, I can do basics of science and math, but mostly I defer that to my wife. But you can just hit us up. Something simple, light fee, $25 to $35 an hour, depending on the subject. So if your kids need help, we are here for the kids. I'm just going to throw that out there. But a quote that I got to close out before, as we wrap up, is, a friend is one who overlooks your broken fence and admires the flowers in your garden. You will know who your true friends are by those who know your ups and downs and still loves you the same. And if you don't have a friend like that, that is why you need to know Jesus, because there is no friend like Jesus. But I ain't gonna get into preaching to y'all again. I ain't gonna preach to y'all today. But as always, if life tries to knock you down, whether it be through personalities, through friendships, through leadership, through trash folks in their habits. I was arguing or debating with somebody yesterday saying there are no trash people. I don't think there's essentially a trash person, since we're all created in the image of God. But in my mind, I would defend that by being a trash person, not walking in the righteousness of God, because I don't think that God is going, God won't allow trash into his presence. So that's why they're going to be burning in hell, right? And that's what we do at the dumps. Don't we burn trash? I'm just saying. But that's another story for a different day. But if life tries to knock you down, make sure you kick back. Keep it tight, keep it right.